At first glance, it seems like just a tiny insect, a single grain of sand in a vast world, a creature incapable of grand achievements. And there's some truth to that. A lone ant, isolated from its brethren, really doesn't display any phenomenal abilities. But what if we looked at them differently? What if intelligence isn't a quality of the one, but the domain of the millions?
What are they capable of together? Believe me, the list will astound you. They can shrink and enlarge their own brains on command. They are ancient ranchers, herding aphids and caterpillars just as we would livestock. They are brilliant epidemiologists, stopping pandemics in their tracks within their million-strong cities. They are field medics, disinfecting the wounds of fallen comrades. And that's just scratching the surface. So, could it be that real intelligence isn't found in a single ant, but in the colony as a whole? A single collective supermind, like something straight out of science fiction? To find the answer, we must journey together into the most profound secrets of these amazing insects. By the end of this, you'll have plenty to think about. So, let's begin.
Ants are one of the most ancient and successful civilizations on the planet. Unlike termites, which are distant relatives of cockroaches, ants evolved from wasp-like ancestors, inheriting their ferocity and organization. Today, conservative estimates suggest that Earth is home to as many as 10 quadrillion ants. That's a 10 followed by 15 zeros. For every single human being, there are about 1 million of these creatures. And their combined mass, their collective weight, is estimated to equal the total mass of all people on the planet. Just let that scale sink in.
Scientific studies confirm ants make up 15 to 20% of the planet's total animal biomass. That figure surpasses the mass of all vertebrates combined, all mammals, birds, reptiles, and fish. They have conquered the entire world. They are absent only from the icy deserts of Antarctica, Greenland, and a few remote ocean-lost islands. No other group of insects achieves such numbers in population density. They don't just build anthills, they build true empires. The largest known supercolony, that of the Argentine ant, is estimated to cover an area of around 6,000 square kilometers. It's so vast, it spans several countries, including Italy, France, and Spain. A humble little anthill housing over 1 billion individuals who recognize each other by scent and live as a single unified organism.
Now for a bit about their physiology, because sometimes it truly seems like they've arrived from another planet. Ants have ears in our sense of the word. They hear by detecting the faintest vibrations in the ground through their feet and antennae. The brain of a single ant contains about 250,000 cells, several times more than most other insects. And now for the key point. The total number of neurons in a large colony can equal the number of cells in an average human brain. Let's remember that piece of information. It will be important later. Amazingly, ants have 2 stomachs. One, a personal stomach, is used for its own nourishment. The second, a social stomach, serves as a public pantry. In it, the ant carries liquid food to share, on demand, with any member of its enormous family. This is their circulatory system, binding millions of bodies into a single, unified whole. In their society, there is an iron order. There are builders, soldiers, foragers, and nurses. Everyone knows their place. If an ant is found lazing about, it is exiled. But what's most interesting is that this law applies even to the most sacred member, the queen. The ants can impeach and expel a queen if she produces too little offspring, and then raise a new, more fertile one.
And there are over 12,000 known species of ants, and the life of each is its own captivating story. In some species, there is no queen as such. All the female workers are able to reproduce. In others, dozens of queens live together in the same nest. And then there are species with marching armies of clones. They reproduce through parthenogenesis, creating genetically identical sisters. But in most species, the queen is the heart of the colony, and her life is a true marathon. While a standard worker ant lives for 30 to 90 days, a queen can reign for 5, 10, and some live for up to 20 years. In the insect world, this is an absolute, unimaginable record. The relationships between different ant species are worthy of a Game of Thrones script. Take the Amazon ants, for example. Their workers are incapable of feeding themselves or even caring for the nest. Instead, they're perfect warriors. They launch raids on the nests of other species, steal their larvae, and the slaves that hatch will spend their entire lives caring for their captors. Others have gone even further. A parasite queen infiltrates a foreign nest, finds and kills the resident queen, and then begins to emit her scent. The worker ants, deceived by this chemical warfare, accept the usurper and begin to care for her and her offspring. Such a nest is doomed. From the new queen's eggs, only new invaders will hatch, and with the death of the last host worker, the colony will be left desolate. But these are perhaps the darker pages of their history. On the whole, ants are an example of altruism and self-sacrifice, and here are just a few astonishing examples of their adaptations. Across the sands of the Sahara, the silver ants are racing, the fastest ants in the world. They have no choice. On sand heated to 70 degrees Celsius, you can't afford a leisurely stroll. They tear across the surface at speeds approaching a meter per second. For a human, that would be the equivalent of sprinting 2 100-meter dashes in a single second. But it isn't just speed that keeps them alive. They are covered in special silvery hairs that act like a heat shield, reflecting the sun's merciless rays. And these are the honeypot ants. Just look at them. They are living pantries. In their swollen abdomens, they store reserves of sweet nectar, which they use to feed the entire colony during the lean seasons. Local indigenous people also savor these sweet orbs, a prized natural delicacy. Meet the leafcutter ants, true farmers. All day long they slice off leaves, but here's the fascinating part. They don't eat them. In fact, they can't even digest them. So why do they do it? The answer is astounding. They carry these leaves into their subterranean gardens, chew them into a pulp, and use this compost to grow a fungus. And it is this fungus, and this fungus alone, that is their only source of food. Yes, you heard that correctly. Ants mastered agriculture millions of years before humans ever did. And these are their counterparts, the Asian weaver ants. Brilliant architects, they build their nests from living leaves, stitching them together. And for thread, they use silk produced by their own larvae. Workers hold a larvae in their mandibles like a living tube of glue and use it to bind the edges of the leaves together. And when the floods come,
Fire ants display miracles of engineering. They link their legs and bodies together, forming living rafts and even entire Eiffel Towers to escape the water. Some will drown, others will be eaten, but those are minor details. The only thing that matters is the survival of the queen and the future of the colony.
There are the spider ants, which mimic their eight-legged enemies. There are the turtle ants, whose shield-like heads perfectly seal their tunnel entrances like living manhole covers. And then there are those you should fear. The bulldog ant, whose sting causes excruciating pain that lasts for days and can lead to anaphylactic shock. Or the bullet ant, so named because the pain of its sting on the Schmidt Pain Index is compared to the agony of a gunshot wound. Locals call it the 24-hour ant because that's how long the unbearable suffering lasts. And then there are the Indian jumping ants, a true phenomenon. After the queen dies, a true battle for the throne begins within the colony. In some workers, their ovaries activate, swelling to 5 times their normal size. At the same time, their brains shrink by 25%. Apparently, you don't need much of a brain to lay eggs. These individuals become pseudo-queens. But here's the most incredible part. This process is reversible. If one of these pseudo-queens is isolated, her brain will grow back, her ovaries will shrink, and she reverts to being a normal worker. This physiological plasticity is unlike anything else. And then there is their medicine. Ants live in immense density, where any infection could be a death sentence for the entire colony. They constantly clean themselves and each other. They bring tree resin, a natural antiseptic, into the nest. Infected ants will pass on microdoses of the infection to their nestmates, essentially vaccinating them to build collective immunity. And when a serious threat appears, they implement social distancing. The colony separates into groups to slow the spread of the disease. But they have their own aliens too. The cordyceps fungus turns an ant into a zombie. It seizes control of its nervous system, forces it to climb a plant and clamp down with a death grip, after which the fungus erupts directly from the ant's head to release its spores. The tapeworm, on the other hand, extends the life of infected ants, making them sluggish and attractive to woodpeckers, the parasite's ultimate goal. The infected ants become honored retirees, fed and cared for by their healthy nestmates, who wear themselves out and die earlier as a result. A devil's bargain made by the parasite. So, does an anthill possess a mind? The complexity of behavior is determined by the complexity of the nervous system, and perhaps there is a certain critical number of neurons at which the first glimmers of consciousness are born. A single ant does not have it, but when millions of tiny brains connected by chemical signals move as a single entity, a superorganism emerges, a collective mind capable of solving incredibly complex problems. Of course, there are apparent limitations. Otherwise, we would long be living on a planet of intelligent insectoids. The ant superorganism can adapt perfectly to changing conditions, but to change those conditions, to anticipate them, for now, only humans are capable of that. And even then, the consequences of our interventions in nature are, to put it mildly, difficult to judge. These are the complex questions I invite you to ponder.